So to introduce myself, my name is Raha, and I'm part of the New Media Art Group. I'm part of their team, part of the really, really big team of New Media, and I have the pleasure of presenting to you today. So with that being said, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to be talking about today. I'm going to present to you New Media Art from who we are and what we do, and I'm going to explain a little bit about our collaboration with Stanislav in this project. So as I said before, I'm part of the New Media Art Group, and what we do is basically we are a group and we are a community. We are a movement, but you all might know us from Instagram, which is our most popular channel, and that's what it looks like basically. But we're not just on Instagram. We are a lot more than that. So what we are is a central hub and a global network of individuals who are interested or are active in the new media art world. What makes us unique is that we have over 100,000 followers on Instagram. It's been only 2 months since we had our website, but we have around and over 1,000 artists that have subscribed to with us and signed up. We have well over 4,000 viewers on our website on a daily basis, and we have a private Discord channel that we share with our users only. With artists, and we are on the brink of having a 24-hour channel on YouTube that would showcase the best work of new media artists. So what we do, what is different about us, is that we work internationally and we share information from different platforms and different events and different event holders from around the world with people that subscribe to us or people that are interested about new media art. We figured early on that there aren't a lot of people or places or groups that provide this information. So we thought, you know what, we're going to put a team together and we're going to put this thing together and we're going to start sharing that information, and we're going to start building a community around this amazing thing that already is not existing. And gladly, currently, we live in all continents. We have subscribers and people from all across the world who are interested in new media art, joining us or following us and taking part in this bigger, greater community. But our head office is basically in Toronto, Canada, which is where I am right now and talking to you from. As I explained, the problems that we tackled through new media art was that the problem that new media artists were having of not having a good source of information. Other than that, we realized that a lot of the projects that needs to be done in new media is collaborative, and a lot of artists have problems actually finding people and finding collaborative projects to work on. So what we are doing as a part of what we're doing, we give them projects and we give them opportunities to link together, to connect, to work with each other, to be introduced to one another from wherever they are across the globe. And yes, connecting artists to their needs and wants is what we do, especially new media artists. As I explained, we have a really amazing website at the moment, and we are working on a daily basis to make it even better than it is right now. If you go on our website, you can subscribe, and you will get open calls. You will get a chance to become part of bigger events that we have. You get information and loads of benefits. You can become a part of our Discord group if we approve you, of course. And It's just a platform that we've created that allows us to kind of dig deeper into the abilities of artists and to kind of curate their experience in or as a new media artist. So in short, what we do is we promote artists and their work. We connect them to the events, open calls, vendors, and to one another. We promote virtual and non-virtual festivals and events worldwide, and we give them access to technologies or exclusive offers, or we collaborate with people like Stanislav to do greater things. Previously, we've worked with many different companies, including but not limited to the ones that you're seeing right now: Assembly, Kadaf, Kunstkraftwerk from Germany, which I'm sure many of you might know, Bright Festival, Opera Beyond, Never Knows Better, Neo Shibuya, which we are constantly working with, and Lightbox, of course. These are just a few of the things we've done. And now it brings me to the collaboration between us and Stanislav, or H2T project. And the reason why we're really, really excited about this project and are inviting anyone who can join to join is because, well, we realize that because new media art is so new and so fresh, there are not a lot of great resources or legitimate learning experiences for people who are interested in this area. And that's one of the reasons why we are so keen on doing this with Stanislav, because he has tons of experience in this area, and you won't find anyone with truly his experience and the value that he's going to bring in his course. The reason why we love the course, though, is because it talks about two of the most sought after softwares in the new media art world, which is number one, Houdini, and TouchDesigner, and the combination of the two. A lot of artists know each one, but it's really hard to kind of find ways to combine the two and to create meaningful, amazing art that takes advantage of both of these softwares to the best of its abilities, which is why, again, we are very excited for this this course and for this, I'm going to say event, because I think it is to some extent an amazing event that we've been able to do with Stanislav. The other reason why we're excited and we are keen on doing this is because we have a lot of ideas and collaborations in the future that we're going to be doing with students and with Stanislav's team. I can't name any because they're not set in stone yet, but to give you a few examples, like exclusive open calls or opportunities that would be for these students, or things in this sense. Maybe we're going to start giving certification, and we're just thinking about a lot of collaborative ideas that we could do for these students that will come out a lot more experienced and educated from these courses. So our mission for this collaboration and for anything that we do is basically to promote, present, and enhance new media art by helping it grow every day. And this education and this educative project is true to that. We want everyone who are interested or are active in this industry to actualize their deepest potentials, and to gain access to their desired resources. If it's people, if it's softwares, if it's venues, if it's anything, we are there to help you get that. We are there to help you achieve your goals. That's ultimately what we want. And our vision for future is to have a directory of artists, including yourselves, that would be able to connect them from around the world for different projects. We want to be like I'm going to say a puddle or pile of information and open calls for everyone, for all the artists, and opportunities. Really, I think opportunities is what we're all of us artists are looking for, and we want to give everyone a foundation or the resource for promoting their growth. And with that being said, you can connect to us through the following. You can follow us on Instagram or send us an email at info@newmediaart.com, or go to our website, which is what I suggest. Go to our website, become a member. That way you can use all the benefits that we provide, open calls, festivals, things that we do, and really kind of become part of a bigger community that we are creating here at the New Media Art Group. Another thing that I forgot to say about myself actually is that I've studied design and I'm a strategic designer, which is why I'm working with New Media Art. I totally forgot, but if you're an artist, if you're someone who's interested in new media art, you're more than welcome to join our Instagram, website, gain access to us, send us an email. We're a non-for-profit organization, and we'll answer all your questions. We'll help you. You can let your friends know who are interested, or through Stanislav, you can contact us as well. We're doing this collaborative course, and we are really, really excited about it. So with that being said, that brings me to the end of my presentation. And if you have any questions, I'm here to answer. So shoot. Go ahead. A little over 1,000, I think. A little over 1,000. No worries. Any other questions, anyone? Someone is having their hand up, like raised hands. Are you gonna write in chat, or how are we gonna let them? Yes. Do we have any plans to do physical events? Absolutely. Absolutely. We just came out of all the lockdowns from COVID, and I can tell you we're already talking to a few festivals that we want to collaborate and cooperate with. And for sure, we are going to have offline or physical experiences in the near future and open calls. I saw a few other questions being asked after that I wasn't able to read fully. Oh, it doesn't take long at all. Do you mean the entire process of going on there and writing, or do you mean how long it takes us to kind of get back to you? Oh, okay. It doesn't take that long usually. It depends on it also depends on the traffic at the time, because we only have a few people helping us with the registrations and with the review and everything. So it really depends on the time, but I wouldn't, I don't think it takes a really long time. A couple of days probably, latest. Yeah. Do you have there are any classes on the new media side? No, there are no classes at the moment on the new media side. Stanislav is is an approved course that we are supporting. In the future, we are thinking about having something like new media education, which I'm 100% certain that Stanislav is going to be part of it, because again, his course and what he has to offer is top notch. I mean, you don't find anyone who can tell you all the updates on TouchDesigner and teach you like how to use it and everything. Most of the people in our team actually use TouchDesigner, and they were really excited about the course. So I can tell you that in the future we will have courses, but for now, this course is the one that we are really passionate about. Any other questions? Oh, okay, I filed AV Collab application. What's next? AV Collab, although it's a part of New Media Art, has its own kind of team. So I would suggest just waiting or sending them an email, and they're gonna get back to you. But the applications don't take long, really. If you didn't find any projects, it's probably because there are none yet, but stay there. They're going to answer you, or they're going to let you know if there are any open calls from our end that you can join. Okay. I'm just going to give back the mic to Stanislav, and I'm going to let him take over because he's the master here. And I'm going to wish you all an amazing evening, night, from wherever you are. I'm in Canada, so it's just evening at the moment, early evening. So I have a whole night ahead of me. But for all you, I wish you a wonderful night, day, from wherever you are, and I hope to see you, all of you. Yes, and I'm going to say goodbye to you all for now.
Great. So, first part of the topic, we finally have a new version of TouchDesigner. And I want to present some my developments regarding that topic. So, what we have new? First point is Vulcan. To that topic I don't have too much to show because it's more like system thing which don't affect too much the artist side, but it brings a lot of performance improvements and pipeline improvements, and it's good for the future because Opengl is quite obsolete. So what is more interesting for us, like for artists? First thing is there finally we have network boxes and annotations. So basically that feature which we always had in Houdini. So if I would create some basic thing in Houdini, for example, I would bring a camera, and since ever we had this possibility to bring the network boxes which can optimize the logic of your patch, of your project, and make everything nice and structured. And in TouchDesigner it just came now. And logically, like everything in TouchDesigner, it seems to work a bit differently than in Houdini. So how we can work with that thing? So basically we have now in component dialog, we can create an annotate tool, annotate component, and on the first point we can just make annotations. So for example, this setup is for this setup is for geotext. So we can write the header, the title, we can paste some text inside of here. What is very cool that we can also enable viewer here, and theoretically we can bring in any operator and visualize a viewer inside of this annotation, which makes that very powerful tool for commenting and collaborative work. Then this annotate component can also work in two different modes. So let me create another one annotate component, and if I go to the settings, I can switch it to work as a comment which doesn't has a title, or I can switch it to work as network box. And that network box is something similar to Houdini network box. So we can bring some operators here inside. And it starts to handle them all together. So it's automatically adjusting the size. And now we can handle all these operators like a single item, which give us the possibility to make very nice and structured setups in TouchDesigner. That's quite easy, simple, but very powerful. So that was one feature I wanted to tell you. Second improvement is also more for working process. That's finally we have possibility to color the code by switching the content language parameter for the data operator. So we can highlight the Python, GLSL, JSON, XML, and even T-script. That makes everything also much nicer. Two another things which I personally, one of them I was asking and waiting forever, since I think TouchDesigner Summit 2019, and finally we have it here. It's possibility to work with audio VSTs. So that is quite conceptual. I would say it's very nice to have one platform where we can create both visuals and sound. So we don't need to belong anymore to any other audio application to produce and control sound. And let me show something about that. So let me start a new TouchDesigner. That possibility to load audio VST give us the possibility to produce sound and finally also to produce effects, which is very important for playing some installations. So what we have to make it working? First we need to create the audio VST chop and then to locate some plugins. I downloaded some free VSTs. I also have some non-free VSTs installed on my computer, so I want to show some of them. So let's say I want to work with TAL Noisemaker. So I go to inside of that installation directory, and one limitation we have: TouchDesigner only works with VST of free third version. So we need to be sure that we work with VST of third version. Okay, now what we have here? We have some inputs. Unfortunately, we cannot route the MIDI data directly to this input, so we have to handle it using Python scripting. But for sound filters or effects, we can input sound using the first input like usual. Then logically all VSTs typically have a very nice and complex user interfaces, and in order to load that interface we have to click on display plugin user interface and we will see that window. Also, in case we want to control all of the sliders and knobs, we want to see them as TouchDesigner parameter. We can achieve that So that will be loaded in plugin page, and we can achieve that by using regular parameters toggle, and after that we will have loaded all plugins parameter as a TouchDesigner parameter, so we can export to them or use expressions. Next thing, let's think how to play back the MIDI notes, how to make this synthesizer running. For that we need to have some source, and I'm gonna use my own custom Midi Sequencer. So basically it's 16-step sequencer inspired by the typical sequencer. So what I have here, I have the possibility to control 1 octave of notes by every step slider. I can click on different steps to make the length of a sequence, and I can increase, decrease the octaves by the first note. So in order to know which notes should be provided or outputted from the sequencer, I have to check the note numbering, and easiest way to make it is still to use Ableton. So I go to use the MIDI output to loop MIDI port driver to channel 1, and then I just will create one simple pattern starting from C3, C2 and C1, then C4 and C5, and just let it play. Then I go to my TouchDesigner session, open dialogues, MIDI device mapper, and create a new mapping where I also going to use the in-device loop MIDI port. So now theoretically, if I set it up everything on a proper way, it should work already. And I can create the MIDI in. Okay, it seems not to run. Okay, doesn't matter. Actually, I already know the numbers, so basically it should work, but for I don't know reason doesn't work right now. And in order to simply control the notes, I done the following setup. So I receiving the MIDI note numbers, and the here I have this radio button group which produce the octave number. So for example, if I go to select C1, it should return 0, then C2 will return 1, 3, 2, and etc. So I select this channel, and then I do a simple math operation. So for octave C1, the note number will be 37. Then I actually multiply octave by 12, which is the amount of notes in octave, and then post add 37. and that will create a basis of a first node of octave, and then that animation running from the sequencer will just add the corresponding node per octave. And then I basically return all this information from the sequencer. I also created a small setup which is producing the random velocities. So I map that range of noise in range from -1 until 1 and to range 64 until 127. So here we should mention that MIDI is a very old school format which only have 127 values. So starting from 0 until 127. And because of that we have to bring our values in that range. And now outputting from this sequencer I have chop containing some channels. So first channel is sequence. Basically it's a note number I want to send to my VST plugin. Then I have a pulse, which is actually a trigger, which I can use to bring this note up and then switch it off, and velocity. So let's research how we can control the VST using Python, because unfortunately it's only way to deal with that plugins. Basically we have possibility to send MIDI messages, and most important for us is to send note on. So that way we can enable playback on this note. And here we can provide some arguments which are channel, note number and velocity. So basically that information we have already. So I will copy this line and then I will set up two selects. So one select we're going to extract the pulse channel. And that will be trigger. And second, we extract everything else than pulse. And that will be note information. And then we create a simple chop execute. And we should make two events, off to on and on to off. So on off to on we're going to play back a note, and here we going to ask another chop operator for the information about the note number and velocity. Note is OP. OP note. Then number will be note, and then we ask for the channel called sequence, and we convert that value to integer. And last information we need is velocity, which will be accessed the same way. And last, we're going to send note to the audio VST. Send note. Let me remember the proper note on. And then we send to the first channel. Then we just provide a number. And then we can provide a velocity. And after that, we can see already that our synthesizer started to play. Only thing, we should not forget to disable these notes after they were played. For that, we should send another message. So theoretically, we can disable every send note, but there is also another shortcut for that command called send all notes off. So I'm going to use that, and here we only need to provide channel. And channel will be number 1. And now we can actually hear what we produced. So I hope it will be streamed over the GoToMeeting, because I enabled that option to stream computer sound audio device out. Do you hear the sound? Cool. So I can make it more silent. Okay, that is quite easy. Then audio VST itself also have Python callback, where you can debug actually if it's receiving MIDI and what it's receiving using these free arguments, chop, channel and bytes. And also what is interesting, so in order to control that sound somehow, we can use two options. We can directly control over all that parameters in traditional TouchDesigner way, but also we have to know that a lot of old school MIDI synthesizer then use a special MIDI control messages. So if we go to an Ableton, let me find them. If we go to envelopes on clip on Ableton, we can see that we can send MIDI control, and we have a lot of MIDI controls, actually 120, and they are modulation wheel, breath controller, channel volume, panorama, expression controller, a lot of undefined messages, etc, etc. So we can send all these MIDI messages also using the additional Python interface, but it doesn't affect every of VST plugins. So we have to read documentation to every VST synthesizer to know how it will be affected by this MIDI control channel. So we can send channel pressure and send control. We can also use send exclusive messages. So, and if you're going to use send control, you can see that the MIDI channel number, then index, it's actually what corresponds here to the number of control. So for example, if we want to send channel volume, we have to use the number 7, and then we can send value in range from 0 until 127. And let me just build in the second VST just to visualize how easy we can do some effects. So I'm going to create an audio VST, and this time I want to load the fab filter timeless, for example. So I can also display plugin interface and select some of presets. Let's make something like special effects and blurred texture. And now I can output a resulting sound to the stream. I think because of recording and streaming, TouchDesigner a bit working slowly. So okay, it's working. So I will save this project. I think also everyone who I want to tell some small story about history of this course. First time I came to that idea to make a common workshop about TouchDesigner and Houdini a lot of years ago during my offline workshop in Wrocław. I was invited to old school film studio where one of my favorite director, Zbigniew Rybczynski, was working. They had an amazing motion control system, camera motion control system, and they wanted to make kind of very advanced TouchDesigner and Houdini course. Since then I always thought about that, and finally, because of COVID, because I was not traveling, I was able to research and finalize kind of draft program, and by the end of 2020 we started the first course. And yeah, for me it was a very complex topic, because I never was doing so long courses. So during that time I was also creating a second workshop on Russian language, which also helped me a lot to bring all educational structure in order. And then I spent another half of year restructuring, thinking how to bring the information to people on easiest way, how to make the homework assignments, how to control the learning process, and finally now we have kind of a second release of this course. So I want to make a small presentation about its modern structure, how it's looking. So first I want to tell why I call this course Ultimate Guide to Procedural Mentality. Because most important thing I want to bring my students is not the knowledge of programs, but the understanding how to think procedurally. And if you turn your mentality to that way of work, then you will increase your productivity and creative possibilities a lot. So that's course is not about TouchDesigner and Houdini. That course is about way of thinking. And I spent also a lot of effort to explain how to translate the human language to the language of node-based programs to make your work efficient. Okay, so then some small facts about the course. Currently this program is for 10.5 months, or more precisely 43 weeks. It's around 85 hours of pre-recorded video lessons, structured into 3 levels, 101, 102 and 103. Every level has 3 modules, and every modules typically has 3 or 2 lessons, And after every module, we have additional live stream with question answers and homework. So we bring also additional week, because for my experience, for most of people, if we learn every week, it's too intense, because everyone has family, hobby, work, creative work, whatever. So we provide additional week to finish the homeworks. We have now a group of curators, so I was 100% sure that I was not able to manage all student questions alone. So now I have a very cool team of curators who are also were all my students, so I know their strong sides. And we also provide different options how you can join to the course. So they have a master option which includes TouchDesigner and Houdini educational licenses, so which can be very helpful. So then it's kind of structure of how I imagine most effective pipeline for the real-time art production, where we can have Houdini as a main 3D source, TouchDesigner as a interface connecting everything to everything and dealing with all real-time sensors, output devices, whatever. Then thanks to Houdini engine and Touch engine, we can integrate it to Unreal Engine in case we want to produce very photorealistic graphics. Then small introduction of the structure of the course, what we have in program. So first level called Crash Start. In this level, our most important task to bring you to the working state so fast as possible. So in this course we do very fast introduction to theory and praxis of using TouchDesigner and Houdini and different practical tasks. And after that course you can import 3D geometry to TouchDesigner and Houdini and make animation and rendering, make compositing both in TouchDesigner and Houdini, and you will be able to work with chops to make audio reactive animation, generative animation, and keyframe animation. And also in first level we have a special block which is about the SOPs, which is very less documented and explained by a bunch of tutorials we have on internet. And from my experience of looking to the forum topics and questions, I see all this that most of TouchDesigner artists has no idea how that works, and actually it's very important to know. Then second level is about procedural modeling, where we mostly concentrate on Houdini. However, we also compare all tasks, what is most efficient way to do it in Houdini or TouchDesigner. And we also do dynamic simulation and concentrate on rendering pipeline. So after that course you will be able to create complex scenes with geometry arrays, use instancing, use WOP and VEX, work with L systems, create dynamic simulations using RBD, particle systems, Velum, and SOP solver. Then also we explain PBR rendering in TouchDesigner, including basics of GLSL. We also explain basics of using Substance Designer, and also dive into Redshift, Karma, VREN, and Mantra rendering in Houdini. Next part is about pipeline and workflows, or how to say practical user cases. So in this case we concentrate on buildings of system architecture of your patch, of user interfaces, and practical cases creating interactive installation, web integration with JSON, data visualization, integration of Houdini and TouchDesigner with Unreal Engine, and using sensors. Then very shortly, basics. This is a module 1 of first level. We have 3 lessons: create a basic 3D scene, compositing, and animation, where we explain how to work with chops, how to use exporting and expressions. Then we go to speak about content playback, and here we cover topics which are already belongs to the programming of media servers. So we go to speak about timers, about relative timelines, about scripting, and how to build content libraries. Then last module of 101 is SOAP introduction in Houdini and TouchDesigner. Second lesson is about the concept of geometry attributes, and lesson 3 is about chop export and recording of real-time user data, and how to interchange data between TouchDesigner and Houdini. So then module 102.1 is procedural modeling. We work with geometry loops. Second lesson is about practical examples of procedural modeling, and lesson 3 is about instancing in both TouchDesigner and Houdini. That's one of course examples. Then second module of second level, we create a complex landscape scene. Then we research how to render it in TouchDesigner and Houdini. Also that showing the karma pipeline. Then module 102.3 is about dynamics. So first big lesson is about particles in TouchDesigner and Houdini. Second lesson is a lot of effects of geometry growth using VEX and SOAP solver. And last lesson is about dynamic simulations. Then module 103.1 from the last level is about how to use the digital assets in both TouchDesigner and Houdini, how to program Python in Houdini, how to build efficient user interfaces and preset system. Then interactivity. One big lesson is about the depth sensors in different sensors, how to use interactive data, and how to use point clouds to visualize complex geometry both in TouchDesigner and Houdini. And second lesson is about the render peak and multi-touch user interfaces. Then third module is about data visualization, where we're going to build 2 assets, one stock exchange animation asset, and second is interactive world map using COVID data from the JSON API. Then next module is about audiovisual performances, and first part is about sound synthesis in TouchDesigner, and second is about integration with Ableton and how to build efficient audiovisual setup. And last part is about Unreal. So, and we also will have 3 big projects during the education time. Last project is, current plan is to make the Opengl, where students can present the final project of the course, what was Raha speaking about. And until tomorrow evening you have early bird discount, so that price includes 19% German VAT. In case you are a company from EU, you can just write me directly and ask about the personal invoice. And we have self-learning package, which is without the curation. Then we have curated learning, and additionally we have master, which includes TouchDesigner and Houdini licenses, and personal calls and consultation. So that's all what I wanted to tell you about the upcoming course, and let's continue now to the some examples of TouchDesigner 2022. So I will stop the recording and switch the new one, and if you have some questions, please write to the chat. I have two more examples to show. One big topic to show. Basically, another big update what we have in new TouchDesigner is completely fresh pipeline to work with text. And text is logically okay, coming back to that question, different time zones. So that's all set it up until 10 of Berlin time, I think. 10 p.m. of Berlin time. Okay, I come back to the examples. So, what is new in that topic? First, TouchDesigner started to use a new visualization method of text, and text is rendered directly on GPU now, and that will bring increased contrast and quality of every TouchDesigner text, even what we have in user interface, and that will be especially noticeable on the high definition displays. But also that library, that new library, what derivative using now for text visualization, have some additional positive things, because we have now the possibility to format text directly in the text fields. So for that we have two basic operators. And we have geotext and just a text component. So text component is to find in panels, because it's 2D panel can be used for user interfaces, and geotext is corresponding component for 3D scenes. And both of them have quite similar structure. So we have two pages here, text and font. In font we can, like usual, select any of installed fonts or go to the font files directly. Then in text we have a bunch of options how we can control the visualization and functionality of this text. So first we have two different modes. First mode is to work with text as a text field. So basically that's mean that text operator will completely replace the field component we had before. And second way to work is to use specification dot/chop. Then in case we're going to work with text directly, we can just write text inside of that field. And what is interesting, that we also can use the format codes. So that's mean, for example, if I want to select this some text, new text, and I can use the figure brackets, hashtag, and then a bunch of codes which can define how that text will be visualized. So we can use color with RGB, we can use strike, and for example we can see how it will be visualized. So that color hashtag will be override the colors set it in the font color parameter. and after the input is finished, that codes will be applied. So then if I go to the edit mode, I will see the codes. In order to use these codes, I need to include the formatting codes parameter. Then, because this text component can be used as a field, we can choose between a bunch of different types. So we can use it as a string, we can use it as a multi-line string, but then we can also use it as a float. And in this case, we have a lot of different options. So we can use the numbers, the persons, the currencies, and custom syntaxes by Python. Then in case we're going to switch to integer, we also have a possibility automatically convert the text to timecode. And we can also use the Python formatting. So for that we have a custom formatting parameter. Then we have also password option where we can hide it entered text. So it's very, very functional, but most functional it will be after we switch to the specification.chop. And in this case, we have to work with a table, and we can make a table, and we need at least text table, text column, where we can add actually what kind of text we want to write. Then we can bring that to the specification.parameter, and it starts to write that text. So then we have to position that text. So for that we might need to include here two additional columns for tx and ty. In case we're working with a text component, it should be 2D because we're working in 2D screen coordinates. And we can enter the coordinates. Sorry, XY. TX is for 3D option. And now we can add so much rows we want. Then we can also use two additional lines to control the text color. So like we see in the documentation, we can use font size, font color RGB, skew, tracking, and horizontal stretch. So actually for that we can also use chop, and that makes us a possibility to very easily animate the huge arrays of text. So I will not stop too much on that right now. So also we can find the documentation about text formatting codes. This is quite well documented, so I don't need to speak about that too much right now. And now I want to turn to another example, how to work with the geometrical text. Basically, that is a very interesting component because it doesn't have anything inside. So that geotext takes the text information and sends it directly to GPU. So basically there are no physically SOP geometry existing. That's why it should work actually faster than font SOP, and it has the same formatting option, but basically even more. So let's take a closer look. What is interesting, that we can override every of font parameters that you find in the font page of geotext by using its Python name or its technical name. So for example, tracking, in order to override tracking, you need just to bring here the additional column and name this column on the same name. So that for that I done some example, and I want just to show you how it's working. So I created a column, a page with 4 columns. First column is X position, which is everywhere 0, but because it's done out of pattern, I can basically one second to range. I can basically control it very easily. Let me check. One second, it seems to be. So maybe I just create a new pattern. Pattern chop. And I want to set it to 4. For samples and call it TX. And now I can remap the range to, let's say, -100. So that way I can actually animate easily the position of every line. And if I play with face parameter, I can easily create very nice animations. Then I just set it up the TY channel, also controlled by ramp pattern. Then I have a table with text, and I want to use also the clip option. And this is an interesting part. I wanted to calculate the layout size W, which is a clip box for every of the text lines. And for that I was using the text top, because if we go to the Python interpretation of text top class, we can find it has a very cool method called eval text size. So it can calculate the bounding box of every text, even if it's not created. For that, we just need one text top existing. And what I do here, I receive all the table and bring it to the script dot, where I loop through all lines of text and use this op.txt eval text size function to calculate the text size, and then I just write the the width of that text size to the new table. Okay, that is quite kind of cool option how you can make the animation of appearing of text. So theoretically we can, for that reason I would say, instead of using the translate X of text, it makes sense to use the the tracking, not the tracking, layout box and core Y, I think we can use. Or maybe we need to just animate the layout size from 0 to 1 corresponding to its position by the x-axis. So that example is not completely ready yet, but I hope you got the idea. So that was one of project I want to show you about this new text functionality. And then I also go to start another example. And that second example is using OpenCV to find the feature points, and I want to visualize the coordinates for that feature points. And for that I was using also the geotext. Okay, that is already set up. I will not spend too much time building it from scratch. So now it's receiving my camera over NDI. Then I done a custom script chop, which is calculating the feature points positions. And then I convert that coordinates to the table. Then I pass that again to small script operator just to parse it, just to bring here the corresponding color codes. And then this table with color codes is sent to the geotext specification dot parameter, and original chop channels with coordinates is sent to specification chops. So that way we have all these coordinates visualized. Quite easy. Much easier than before in any way. Okay, that's all I wanted to share. Last thing, that there is also very cool improvement in new TouchDesigner about using of WebRTC protocol, but I didn't had, fairly to say, enough time to hack it. So it need to be a bit more deep into web development than me to understand completely how it's working. So I even started to make the example documented in TouchDesigner documentation, but I didn't got the final thing how to send a video stream over that WebRTC components, so I will not really present it right now. So maybe I will do another stream about that topic. Okay, that was mostly the things I wanted to share. And yeah, I forgot completely that timer chop now started to be a super Swiss knife to work with any possible task dealing with timing. So basically what we have completely fresh in timer right now is, in comparison to timer from the last TouchDesigner version, it has infinite mode, so it can work as a speed chop, and it has also now additional option to be controlled by external chop channel, so you can make very complex stackable timer setups using that. Then even in sequential mode, it has currently new sub-range parameters which allow very easily to loop in custom ranges inside of timer. So I think in order to explain it very properly, it needs to be done very complex setup, but if you already were working with timer, even myself, I work with timer a lot, and just now I realized that that's power of this tool is just unexpectedly big and good. Okay, that's the most important things I wanted to share about the new official release of derivative. I will share all files by the mail to all registered users on this stream. And now maybe is the time to ask some questions if you have. And then we also can finish the presentation for today. Even regarding switch from Opengl to Vulcan, I think it's not affecting of the usage of GLSL, because Vulcan is kind of very low level thing, but it still can use GLSL shading language for making shaders, same way basically, just with increased performance. Only difference I found in documentation is that on Metal implementation of Vulcan on Mac, no geometry shaders are supported, which is for me is a big difference, because I use geometry shaders a lot. But that's only difference. Okay, if you don't have so much questions, I just want to make some information on the end. So you can always find me on Telegram with the username PRCDRL, which means procedural. That's my nickname since long time. I see another question, I will answer it very soon. Then we have howtotouch.com finally running, and under that website you will find the more detailed information about the course. So there are a lot of informations. We still appending the information to that page. We will increase the frequently asked questions a bit, etc. You can see some, but it still has a lot of information there. And another thing, I still have the Telegram channel, which is not super active, but I think we will bring it to life, so we can also join our Telegram channel under this link. So I will copy all these links also to the chat. And now I go to answer the question we have. And that's PRCDRL is my nickname in Telegram. So the question we have right now about self-learning option versus curated learning. That Eric writes that he will be definitely get busy and miss some homework assignments. Will I have lifetime access so I can go back later? Okay, in our course we have kind of every lesson has a small assignment, but after every module we have the big assignment, and theoretically that's planned to make a bit of discipline, to make it kind of stop lesson. So if you don't give that assignment, you will not continue receiving lessons. In self-learning option this don't exist, so you will receive lessons still from the same LMS system. So we use currently the learning management system, and I even can show how it looks from inside. So yes, we have lifetime access. So I mean, in any way, all workshop is also saved inside of the Dropbox. So we have workshop, and every workshop has a bunch of videos inside and some homework assignment on the end, but only after every third lesson we have additional week to finish all that assignments. So theoretically, if you join the self-learning package, you can also do the assignments. It just doesn't get that support from curators. Some more questions? Okay, I think we are done for today. In case I didn't answer something, you can always reach me by Telegram. I'm open to answer your questions. And thank you for being with us today. And see you soon.